and all very important. So there's also a philosophical explanation. So this second line, Shri Govinda, Govinda, Mandala Namahata. So Govindaji was the temple started by Rupa Goswami. This was in the early 1600s. And this represents Samvandana. And Govinda, the Madana represents Abideya. The Madana was the first temple built in Vrindavan around about 1580. And Govinda, this represents prema. So Samvandana, Abideya, and Prayojana, or prema. These are the three stages. So Samvandana means one understands one's relationship with God. Samvandana. And Abideya means one acts in that because one is tasting the fruits of one's service to the Lord. One is situated in pure love. So Samvandana. Samvandana means understanding your relationship with the Supreme Lord. So what is our relationship with God? Who knows? What's our relationship with the Lord? Very simple. Servant. We are servant. Our relationship is one. We are servants of God. Very simple. Das means servant. So we are eternal spirit soul in one body. It is described in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita that the soul within the body is eternal. Arjuna, Nitya, Shashatanyam, unborn, eternal, ever-existing, undying, unknown. So the nature of the soul is eternal. And the soul, we, spirit soul, we are very small, extremely small. Anyone know exactly how small?
1/10,000 the size of a kidney.
Right. Very, very small. And we are the servants of the Supreme Soul. So the Supreme Soul is, of course, God, the absolute truth, the origin of everything. So this is our Samvandana. Samvandana means relationship. It's very simple. Samvandana means relationship. We are servants of God. And Abideya means we act in that relationship. So having understood that we are the servants of God, we should act in that relationship. So that means devotional service. Bhakti Yoga means Abideya, means acting in that relationship. So this is what we are all practicing, Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga starts. What is the first? There are 9 steps. There are 9 different items in Bhakti Yoga. In order to practice this relationship, there are 9 different methods. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Manavada, Sayanachana, Manavadasha, Sakya, Nivedanam. So you know they are? Archana means what? Archana, Shravanam, Kirtan, Vishnu, Smaranam. Hearing, chanting, remembering. These are the first 3. Hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, and remembering. Serving a lotus feet, offering prayers, vandana, becoming the servant, becoming the friend, and offering everything. So these are the 9 different processes. Some people may prefer to hear and chant. Other persons may perform to offer prayers. So in the Vedic scriptures, there are different famous personalities who achieve perfections through these processes. So through hearing, who reach perfection through hearing? Hearing is the first one. It's called Shravana. Maharaj Parikshit. Yes, he heard the 7 days. You know the story? Maharaj Parikshit was cursed to die. Right? You imagine if you were cursed to die. It wouldn't be very nice. So Maharaj Parikshit was cursed to die. So what did he do? He didn't go and take out an insurance policy. He didn't do that. simply sat on the side of the river Ganges and he listened to Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 days and 7 nights. Because he wanted to prepare himself for death. So that he made perfections through hearing. So this is the perfection of that Antamara and Shuti. The time of death, you remember Lord Narayan or Krishna at the time of death. This is contrasted with a very interesting story that some time ago there was some young girl, I think it was a young girl, young boy, and they had an incurable disease, terminal disease. So the newspapers got hold of this and publicized it, and people started sending in money to help this young girl. So a lot of money came in some years ago in America. I mean, many thousands of dollars came in. And they couldn't use the money to actually help her because the disease was terminal. There was no cure. The doctors had no idea. They weren't even too sure what it was. That she was going to die. And they gave her 1 month to live. So here was this young girl, 8 or 9 years old, 10 years old. And she has all this money coming in, but she's about to die. So they didn't know what to do with all the money. So they thought, well, she's only got 1 month left to live. So she should try to enjoy that money. So they took her to Disneyland. And she had to go on, Disneyland on the big helter-skelter big wheel. And then she went to Fantasyland. And she wasted her time there. And then she went to another Disneyland. And this is how they spend the time, and she died. So it's a complete waste, right? Complete waste. Whereas Maharaj Parikshit, also understanding he had only 1 week left to live, he very intelligently went to the side of the river Ganges. He fasted, he didn't want to engage in any material activity, no eating, no sleeping, and he just listened to Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is hearing, and you are also hearing now. When we read Srila Prabhupada's books, and we read Srila Prabhupada's books, and we are hearing from Srila Prabhupada. So hearing is the first step. Without hearing, you cannot understand anything. When a child is born, the child has no knowledge at all. Isn't it? Now how does the child first acquire knowledge? There are 5 senses by which you can acquire knowledge. You know what they are? Ears, sight, smell, tongue, and touch. So a young child, a few months old, what is the first sense that young child focuses on? What do you think? Smell? No. Good guess. Can a young child see? I'm talking about 1 month old. Hearing. Who said hearing? Hearing. Who thinks hearing? Alright, you try talking to a 3-week-old baby. Is it going to talk back to you? Can it understand what you're saying? Does it know what's going on? It can't see. It can't smell. It doesn't know what it's touching. And it can't hear. Right. What does a young child always do? Everything comes in his mouth. Isn't it? That's how it gains knowledge. It's knowledge I need this or I can't need this. Everything goes in his mouth. So that's how it acquires knowledge. And the knowledge is this tastes good, this doesn't taste good. Then as the child gets a little older, it begins to see and hear. First sees, recognizes his parents, recognizes something which is friendly, recognizes something which is dangerous. So this is seeing. And also when we learn to touch things, this is nice to touch, this is not nice to touch, this is hot, this is not hot, it learns. But when it starts to develop hearing, then it really learns. And the process of education at school is the process where you learn 90%, 95% by hearing, isn't it? Here in this classroom, it's 95% you hear geography. You're learning about America or the North Pole. Now you're not going to go there. You have to hear descriptions. What about history? you're letting yourself out to do stuff. There's no possibility of going back in a time machine and seeing what happened. You don't think you hear mathematics. You hear these things. Occasionally you may perform an experiment in science, but basically you don't hear it. So hearing is the most important process of learning. So that's also applicable in spiritual life. To understand how things spiritual life, one has to hear, but one has to hear from the right source. The problem is that we hear from the wrong source. This is the problem. Many Hindus are unfortunately hearing from the wrong source. Therefore they get very confused and sometimes frustrated, and they give up early. They think, what is the point? So one has to hear from the right source. So the right source is the pure devotee, and we are presenting the pure devotee Srila Prabhupada in his books. So if we hear from him, then this is the perfection of life. So hearing, shravana, then chanting. Who reaches perfection through chanting? Who reaches perfection through chanting? Haridas Thakur, true. He chanted 300,000 names a day, but in the daily scriptures, another person is given as an example. Maharaj was hearing who was chanting. Sukadeva Goswami, who's told about the chanting? Sukadeva Goswami. So he is the person who reaches. I mean, many other persons also can attain perfection through chanting, but he is the example given. And remembering, smile means to remember. Who reaches perfection through remembering? Who did Lord Hussain appear to protect? Prahlad. When Prahlad was being persecuted by his father tried to murder him, poison him, drown him, put him underneath an elephant, put him in a pit of snakes. What was he doing? Simply keeping quiet. But in his mind he was smiling, remembering Krishna. So he attained perfection through remembrance. Shravan, Kirtan, Vishnu's name. Partha Sarathi. Partha Sarathi means serving the lotus feet. Who attained perfection through serving the lotus feet? Who served the lotus feet of Lord Narayan? Lakshmi. Right. So Lakshmi attained perfection through serving the lotus feet of Narayan. Lakshmi Narayan. Whenever we go offering prayers, who attained perfection through offering prayers? It's getting a bit more difficult. But I'll give you a clue. The person who took Krishna out of Vrindavan to Mathura. Who is that? Akura came with a chariot, took Krishna from Vrindavan and took him to Mathura. But as he was coming in, Akura saw in the soft sand one footprint of Krishna. And he immediately stopped his chariot, he got out and he offered his obeisances to that footprint and he offered wonderful prayers. So he attained perfection through offering prayers. Let us say Archana. Archana means puja. Worship of deity. Who attained perfection through worship of deity? Prithu Maharaj. This is in the 4th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Then Dasya. Who attained perfection by becoming the servant of the Lord? Who is one of the most famous servants of the Lord? Hanuman. Yes. And then Satya. Who attained perfection by becoming friend of the Lord? He is one of the Krishna's most famous friends. Arjuna. And Atmanivadana means offering everything, all put together. And this is Ambarish Maharaj, described in the 9th canto. He attained perfection through all of these things. So you can take one of these, or two, or three, or all of them. Or you can just take one. And if you practice this is the beginning of devotional service. So we stress very much that you chant. And we request that you chant every day in the privacy of your household, and leads you in the 24-hour period of one day that you chant Harinam, means Hare Krishna. So this is first. Then you must hear from Bhagavad Gita, from these books. Every day you read a book, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Then if you hear and chant properly, you will remember. The purpose of hearing and chanting properly is you will remember Krishna, Smaran. You can also offer some prayers. We bow down to the altar, we offer our prayers. This is also nice. So as you practice this is called Adi Day. This is the practice of devotional service. And as you practice this, your heart becomes purer and purer, and then you can develop love of God. At this present stage, our heart is Hrid Rodam. Hrid means heart. What is Rodam? Rogi. Right, a rogi is a diseased person. Srila Prabhupada said that if you pass stool once a day, you are a yogi. And if you pass twice, you are a bodhi. And if you pass 3 times, you are a bodhi. Once, bodhi, you are a yogi, you are healthy. Twice, you are a bodhi. Bodhi, remember bodhi, yogi? And then that you enjoy it. And rogi, you're sick. There's something wrong. You have something wrong. Some dysentery or something. So, really well means disease in your heart. So we have in our heart disease. Now what is that disease? Who can tell me? There are different names for that disease. It manifests in different ways. There's dirt in the heart. And how does this dirt, it covers the heart, how does it manifest? By what? Desire. Material desires. Material desires for what? Like what? Material desires, give me some examples. Material wealth. Ambitions. Greed. Lola. Greed. That's very dangerous. What else?
Lust. Anger.
Lust, anger, and greed. 3 gateways leading to hell. Kama, Krodha, Lola. 3 gateways leading to hell. Kama, Krodha, Lola. Lust, anger, and greed. These are the 3 most dangerous. Definitely. Others? Illusion. You think you're in bottom. You think there's no God. You think you'll never die. This is illusion. What else?
False pride.
False pride. False pride. Ahamkara. I am the doer. I am the controller. The demon thinks each Ahamkara. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. In this Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Gita describes the demoniac person. Chapter 16. This is very nice. And the English translation, each that he is my enemy, and I will destroy him. And my other enemies I will also kill. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. There are none so happy as me. This is me. I shall give a little charity, just a little thing, I shall surround myself with my aristocratic relatives and friends. These are the qualities of demons. So, illusion, falsehood, anything else?
Envy. Envy.
Anger? Yes. What else?
Envy.
Yes, very nasty. Envy is other living beings. This is a disease within the heart. Because originally we are envious of Krishna. And therefore this also means we are envious of Krishna's parts and parcels. So in the material world, envy is a very dangerous thing. When a materialist, I'll give you an example. There's 3 types of people you can associate with. People who are superior, who are equals, and people who are inferior. Isn't it? Everyone has friends. People who work well. Some of the people are your superiors, then some equals, then some inferiors. So when a devotee meets a superior, what does he do? He offers his respects and he inquires. When a devotee meets an equal, he makes friends. And when a devotee meets an inferior, someone lower down, then with compassion he helps the person. Preaches, gives him the shot he helps. But now when a materialist meets someone who's superior, when a materialist sees someone who's got more money than him, is more popular, better looking, more successful material, what does he do? He criticizes. He's got more money, but this and this and this. You don't know why I know about this. So he criticizes. And then when a materialist meets his friend, materialist, what does he do? Shows off. Isn't it? Do people, friends get together? Their equal levels show off. And when a materialist sees someone who's lower, someone who's mentally handicapped or tramp or someone lower down, what does he do? He looks down on it and makes fun. Sarcasm. Isn't it? He makes fun. So this is how materialists with it. The devotees really exactly the opposite. When they meet superior, they offer respect and they inquire how to make advancement, they serve, and equals, they make friends, and people lower down. When you're preaching and you meet someone, you try to help them, you try to bring them up. So this is how a devotee avoids envy. Because envy is not nice. So these are the diseases in the heart. And then other types of diseases, more subtle diseases. Like pratista. What is this word pratista? You should all know what this means. Pratista. Name, fame, distinction. It's very popular in the material world. Everyone likes to have their name glorified. What is the sweetest thing to anyone? Their name. Isn't it? If you ever read any of these books, did anyone ever read any of these books by Dale Carnegie? He's like a modern day Dale Carnegie. Very intelligent person. And he described the sweetest thing to anyone is their name. So he was explaining, if you really want to win people over, then you always remember their name. Even 20 years ago, remember their name. And if you want to make an enemy, what you have to do is you say that name, you say the wrong name. That's the worst thing to do. You must get it right. If you get it right, you do a friend to your life. So everyone is looking for name, fame, position, pratista. So these are all like diseases in our heart. So how can we cure ourselves from these diseases? By Chetan Dharma Marjana, by chanting Hare Krishna. By chanting Hare Krishna, by practicing devotional service, by bringing on to Krishna, chanting the Lord's name, reading scripture, associating with devotees, practicing a pure life. These contaminations in our heart will slowly go away. It may not happen immediately, but they will slowly evaporate. Just like when the sun rises in the morning, it's covered by mist, but slowly that mist evaporates. So then the heart becomes pure, and when the heart is pure, Krishna, who is the supreme pure, will appear on your heart. Within the lotus of your heart, Krishna will appear. So this can happen in this lifetime. It can happen in a short time. It's actually entirely up to you. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, married or single. When I was in Vrindavan, these last few months, I met some very advanced ladies. Actually, I never knew it. Ladies could be that advanced. I didn't have to instead of it. But I was very surprised that some of these are actually disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And there's one particular lady was married. Very, very advanced. I mean, exceptionally advanced realizations. So I saw how the system of Bhakti Yoga can work everywhere. It's a very genuine system. Devotional service can work for whether one is living in the temple or living outside the temple. Whether one is married or whether one is single. Whether one is businessman or as a student or whatever. It makes no difference. Yeah, I can give it one. So, devotional service is transcendental. It works for everyone. You know? And I can see this practically, that people are practicing and they're making advancement. And they're making genuine advancement. So, our request is that you simply carry on, strictly following as best you can, chanting, associating with devotees, reading scripture, trying to live a pure life. And according to how serious you are, Krishna will reciprocate, and you will correspondingly make that much advancement. Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on your attitude. The Prabhupada said that your advancement in spiritual life solely and wholly depends on your attitude. If your attitude is that you really want to serve Krishna, and you're very serious, and Krishna reciprocates with you in a very serious way, but if you are a little casual, then Krishna, you can expect that type of reciprocation, a type of casual reciprocation. Many persons may come to spiritual life with ulterior motives, not much interested really in Krishna or other things. So if that's how you want to reciprocate with Krishna, Krishna will reciprocate with you accordingly. He may give you those things. But what is the real purpose of approaching Krishna? Pure love. You may not get that. Krishna is very easy to give wealth. It's not a problem to give wealth. It's not a problem for one to do this at all. But what he really gives is pure devotion. And that's much rarer, and that's much more valuable. If you have a material desire, that's all right. We have family and we're in the material life. We have material desires. So we recommend in Srimad Bhagavatam that if you have a material desire, approach Krishna. Whether you're full of material desire or has no material desire. Aham Savakam Mokshakam Vidavati. Srimad Bhagavatam says you're full of material desires or you have no material desire. You should approach Krishna. Now if you have a material desire, you want wealth, you want position, you want family or something, and you approach Krishna, Krishna can do two things. He can do one of two things. Either he can give you what you want, or he can take away the desire that you have for what you want. You understand? Let's say I have a desire for hypothetical. Let's say I have a desire for a house by the sea. That's very rich. So either Krishna, he can give me that house, or he can take away the desire for that house. And suddenly, I don't really want a house anymore. What's the... doesn't make any difference if I stay there or not. And I start thinking about it. So which is the best? Which would be the best? That Krishna fulfills your desire or takes away the desire for that desire? You will lose that desire. That's the best. So it depends if you get the Lord's mercy. But sometimes Krishna can give you that desire. He can fulfill your desire. And I can give you a practical example. That in 1977, two devotees, the first two devotees, not the first two men joined ISKCON. One was Namahata, who was the temple president, some of you may know. He was at Western University. And another devotee was called Damodara from Tonga. And they served Srila Prabhupada, and they worked very hard. Both devotees were there. And then in 1982, Damodara, he decided he would leave. He left ISKCON because he wanted to make some money. This is his desire. But he carried on chanting, and he carried on following the principle. Every day he chanted, even to this day. Then he left the association of devotees. He went to India, he bought some things, he came back, he sold, he went again. And he started to build it off, he started to sell. Sorry, mentioned. And then he opened his first shop, and then his second shop, and Tonga, and then there, and then the third shop, came to boutiques. Yeah. Now he has 10 shops. He told me the other day that he turns over 9 million rands a year. That's his turnover. And he's completely sick of it. Absolutely sick of it. And he's selling all his shops. And he bought a house near the temple so he could simply come to the temple. He's seriously thinking of going to Mayapur and living there. And he just wants to get back into devotional service. Full time. Although he never gave up his chanting. So that's an example of Krishna giving him what he wanted. He wanted some money, so he got it. But now he realized that wasn't really what he wanted after all. But he was fortunate that he never gave up his devotional service. You know? So Krishna can fulfill a desire. Definitely fulfill a desire. Or sometimes he can take away that desire and say, well, I don't really need a lot of money. I just need something for the family, you know. I don't really need excessive amounts. I don't really need the cities. I'm quite happy to go around, Muslim or something like that. But nevertheless, Krishna, if you have material desires, it is recommended you approach the Supreme Lord. But better, we should understand through philosophy, through reading scripture, that even if we have material desires and we try to perform them, still we don't become satisfied. And the example is this devotee. So Krishna consciousness is for everyone. Whether you're full of material desires, or whether you have few material desires, or whether you're a rare person and have no material desires. Approach Krishna, and he will reciprocate according to you. This is very important. Bhagavad Gita says, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone, all of us, as we surrender to Krishna, he will reward us accordingly. So anyone have any questions? One person with a question. What's your opinion on the Hindu-Muslim problem view in India? Srila Prabhupada explains that before independence, Hindus and Muslims lived together in harmony, and Hindus would invite Muslims to their religious festivals and vice versa. And there was no friction, there was no conflict. Even to this day, there are Muslims in certain areas of Rajasthan who celebrate Krishnastami. But when India got independence, Srila Prabhupada explains, due to politics, British diplomacy, they caused this animosity or friction between Hindus and Muslims. And Hindustan and Pakistan were created. This was actually by British intervention. When India was about to go independent, the British approached Jinnah, who was a Parsi, and they said, well, we will fund the Muslim League. We will fund you. You form the Muslim League, and then you form the Muslim country, Pakistan. So they funded, and this caused so much violence in India. So this is diplomacy. And why did the British do that? Because they were being forced to leave India. So, therefore they wanted to, it's like sour grapes philosophy. So that was their idea. It's like someone gives you something, or you borrow something, or you find something and use it, a carpet, or whatever, and take it back. So you just you smash it off, just out of spite. So this was the British. Prabhupada said the British were expert at diplomacy, but unfortunately they used it for the wrong purposes. They used it for exploitative purposes. So there's a friction between Hindu and Muslims. It is actually politics. So it's simply politics. It's unfortunate. But even modern-day politicians sometimes, if an economy is going under recession, it's a well-known fact that there is nothing that stimulates an economy more than a war. It's very good for economy, a war. So they'll start a war because it stimulates the economy. And it's commonly believed that the Vietnam War was actually instigated because at that time there were elections in America and the government and the politicians were being criticized. You understand? Being criticized. So in order to take people's attention away from internal problems, they create an external problem. You know? And when there's an external enemy, then everyone comes together and cooperates, even though they have differences. So this is politics, modern-day politics. You know, so modern-day politicians can start wars. Also, they like to start wars because it's an experiment where they can use their weapons. You know, they have all these weapons. They can't use them. So, you know, you have a little skirmish, a little small-time war, and just experiment. This is the fact. You know the Falkland War? Man, the Falkland War, which was a loan to the British. Argentina, they claimed right in the Falkland Islands. So it was a small-time skirmish. So the British, they sent HMS Sheffield. Now HMS Sheffield was a brand new warship, bristling with different radar systems and nuclear this and that. The whole thing was there, the stainless steel. It was like fifth type of billions and billions. Slid down the runway, pictures in the newspapers took it. It was going by HMS Titanic. It went off. No one could ever attack this. It was such a sophisticated warship. And sailed off the Falkland Islands. Everyone was cheering and clapping. Bravo, wonderful, great. We'll get the Falkland Islands back. So, as the ship was approaching the Falkland Islands, cost literally hundreds of millions of pounds and US dollars. The Argentinians released one small time missile. I think it was called the Exorcist. It was a French missile. Actually, it only cost a couple $100,000. But it had a very sophisticated radar system, and it could fly over the top of the sea at about 5 to 6 feet. And you could never pick it up with radar. It would actually go up one way and down one way. It was an amazing weapon. And it went right into the ship, and the ship blew up. This massive ship that cost hundreds of millions blew up and was defeated by this just one small little missile. And so the politicians, they like, this is like, it's like a game. It's like a game of Scrabble or something, but they play with people's lives. So also this type of thing, human friction, this is, we believe this as an intervention to one-hand persons, So, which you can love many politics. Explain a Hare Krishna devotee, a Rama Krishna devotee. Does anyone know what it's about? I know what Hare Krishna devotee because I'm trying to be one. The Rama Krishna, can anyone know? I don't know. I was common. I wrote it here. I don't know what the Rama Krishna devotee. If you tell me, then I can tell you the difference. If you don't tell me, then how can I Rama Krishna.
We also have service that we integrate Krishna, take all the other gods.
Alright. So Rama Krishna was a Bengali. His name was Gavita Chakravarti. He had been in Bengal in the 1700s. And at that time, the smarter Brahmins in Bengal wanted to approve the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they presented his Gavita Chakravarti as a reincarnation of Brahma and a reincarnation of Krishna. As we were walking in the day, they presented him as a reincarnation of Brahma and a reincarnation of Krishna. And they called him Rama Krishna. And they put him on a pedestal and they worshipped him. But actually he was, we understand, only a human being. And then they propagated some teaching. And that teaching actually was that you don't have to worship Krishna or Rama. You can worship whatever you want. And actually Rama Krishna was able to worship Kali. It was a Kali worship. So actually they were worshiping demigods. This is ordinary in Hinduism as we know it. Then they started propagating, you don't have to be so strict, vegetarian. And they said actually you can eat fish. And then they started to explain the fish is a water vegetable. They firmly believe that fish is a water vegetable. This is not, I'm not trying to run them down, this is the truth. Complete truth. And then the other day Dr. Maharaj, he told me, because he's from Bengal, he told me that when you become a brahmachari in the Ramakrishna mission in India, then you are not allowed to eat meat, fish, or eggs, and you're not allowed to take intoxication. But when you take something else, you can eat meat and you can take intoxication. Because they believe that when you take something else, you become Narayan. They believe you become Narayan. And they call each other Narayan, Namo Narayan. They believe in Namo Narayan. Therefore they believe you can eat. And they preach this. When you go to the West and you preach it, it's common country, therefore you have to take meat and lunch. This is common knowledge. And I was preaching by some members of the Ramakrishna Center some years ago. I was in the class and I was getting some land for the campaign. And the one gentleman, the chairman of the local Ramakrishna, and he said, I'm all in the line. I mean, it's true. You believe me, you're lying. And then the disciple of Ramakrishna was Vivekananda, who of course went to America. But Srila Prabhupada explained, when the devotees told Srila Prabhupada in 1975, and Srila Prabhupada was in Madras, that a person has written a book called The Unknown Chapters of Vivekananda. And in that book they describe that Vivekananda used to eat meat and drink wine. And Prabhupada said, yes, everyone knows that. Vivekananda actually very much liked mutton. One's favorite foods. So, such a person we can't take so seriously. And there's no, I'm not just saying that. This is actually knowledge. This is, when I say, this is actually quite common knowledge. At least amongst persons who are a little educated in this respect. If one wants to become a Hare Krishna devotee, can one still practice other sacrifices, kartajanda, offering other prayers, etc.? Well, janda, what's a janda flag? What's the flag? And this is a what flag? A red flag. Or Hanuman. But now we see also a yellow flag. For who? Yellow flag is for sheep. So this is something new. When I first came to Spain, I did some yellow flags. Now they have yellow blue flags. Instead of blue flags. But in India, I didn't see any of these flags. Did you see any good flags in people's houses? In Bombay? In Delhi was about 10 million people, and the vast majority of Hindus, I never saw any flags. There were only bamboo genders. So what does it mean? It means something local, something in South Africa that's come about. So, when we do things in terms of spirituality, it has to be based on scripture, not on some tradition that goes back one generation or two generations or three. Of course, roasting a flag, there's nothing really bad about it. You're not going to get a simple reaction, but it means that there's lack of knowledge. But animal sacrifice, of course, you'll get very bad reaction. How does one become a Hare Krishna devotee? One chants Hare Krishna, and one starts following Krishna's instructions, offering one's food to Krishna, associating with devotees, and that's how you become a devotee of Krishna. If a person doesn't believe in God, how can we make one believe in God? Well, there's an agnostic and there's an atheist. So how to make an atheist believe in God is very difficult. An agnostic is one who is willing to accept, but hasn't been convinced up to this point. But an atheist is one who, even when you explain through logic, refuses to accept. Actually, the last one. Even when you explain, without even using the scripture, just explain like logic, still refuses to accept. So Isaac Newton was a theist. Isaac Newton, the great physicist who presented principles of classical physics, mechanics, he believed in God, that he had friends who didn't. And he tried to explain to them. They just didn't accept, they're atheists. So one day he made a model, and the model was the Earth planet, and then there was a sun. It was a mechanical model, and the moon went around the Earth by the moons and things, and the Earth went around the sun. It was a very nice mechanical model of that part of the solar system. As Isaac Newton, he put it down on the desk, he wound it off, and his friend came, and his friend looked at it. This is very interesting. Like I can see that the sizes are correct and the ratio is good and the Earth, the moon and Mars is there. So his friend, who was an atheist, said, Isaac, who is? So Isaac said, no. So the friend said, no, who is? So Isaac said, nobody, just nobody. So then his friend said, Isaac, who made this? I want to know. So Isaac said, no one made it, it just happened. So then his friend said, that does be ridiculous. How did something just happen out of nothing? So then Isaac said, but you say that this solar system happened out of nothing. Or this model someone had to make. So then his friend began to understand. So an agnostic is someone who is a little open. But an atheist is someone who, even though when you convince them, they still will never accept it. They just refuse to accept it. They're like blockheads. You know the story, Prabhupada is the story of the sisters of the night? That two men, they're friends, and they see one piece of paper, and the one man says, oh, that piece of paper, that was cut by a knife. And the other man says, actually, I'm sorry that you're wrong. It was cut by scissors. You didn't see because of these on the mark. And the other man goes, I beg to differ. It wasn't cut by scissors. Obviously it was cut by a knife. And the other man gets a little bit more carried away and says, it was cut by scissors. And the other man says, knife. And the other man says, scissors. Then the other man screams out, it was cut by a knife. And the other man says, scissors. And then they start attacking each other. And the one man is strangling the other man is hitting the other man, scissors, knife. And then the man who was saying it's a knife, he was a bit stronger. He picked up the man who was saying it's scissors and he threw it into the water. And the man started to drown. And he went under once, twice, and then his hand came off. The only thing that shows. I didn't drown. He had the last day. gave the example that materialists, atheists, they're so obstinate, they're like this. They drown, they're on their deathbed. But still, no, I don't accept. So what can you do? We avoid such people, and rather we preach to people who are receptive. And so atheists we don't bother so much with. The people who are receptive, then definitely we can spend time with. A devotee, a madhyam, we are madhyam, madhyakaris. Four things we see. We see Krishna, we see devotees, we see the innocent, we see the atheist. So Krishna we worship, devotee we make friends with, like this congregation. The innocent we preach to, but the envious we avoid. Because if you give a fool good advice, what will you do? You become angry. If you give a fool good advice, you suddenly becomes angry. So don't bother. So atheists, we don't bother so much with words. Rather we preach the persons who are innocent. Please explain meat eating. Meat eating means you eat meat. That's not very difficult to explain. Hare Krishna Maharaj, we welcome you this time. It's very nice to come here and see everyone. We're going to hopefully come to the campaign in May, and we'll come in May, and I think we'll come to Venables, seems to be the best spot, so we're going there. Actually in February, on Saturday the 30th of August is the regular Charlie's Parents' Day. So that's an important day for us. Then on Friday the 5th of February is Lord Nityananda's Parents' Day. We fast till moonrise. 4 days a year we fast on moonrise. 1 day a year we fast on midnight, Vaishnav. So Lord Nityananda on Friday the 5th of February we fast on moonrise. That's our very nice festival. The next day actually, I'm going to Zambia and Zimbabwe for once. And then March 8th is Gopani. That's on a Monday. So that's a very big day. We fast again till moonrise. And then I'm starting the campaign in March. And I'm starting in South Coast. I was going to Shepson and coming now to Phoenix and then we'll come from the North Coast. So we want to come to Stavanger in May. So very much looking forward to that. Any other questions? Yes.
Why did you say that the Hare Krishna people don't eat onions and garlic?
Why don't we eat onions and garlic? Do you eat onions and garlic?
No.
Why not?
I don't know, because you said that the Hare Krishna people don't eat it.
Do you like onions?
No.
You don't like them? Everything you eat, it affects you. Whatever you eat, it affects you. It affects your consciousness. If you take whatever it is, anything you eat affects you. Even something very small and insignificant. Just like they have these drugs called mangoes. So it's a small little pill. But if you take it, what happens? You will intoxicated, isn't it? I don't know. So they say. So, that's something very small. Even if you take caffeine, these headache pills and medicine, it's a very small little pill, but it affects you and you start going on funny. You take that as well, very small pill, it affects you. So whatever you eat affects you. So also onions and garlic, it has a detrimental effect on the consciousness. It has an unfavorable effect on the consciousness. It acts like an aphrodisiac. It disturbs the mind. Now we don't want to disturb the mind. We want the mind to become peaceful. The spiritual life, the mind has to be peaceful. And the more peaceful it is, then the easier it is to do Krishna. The more agitated the mind is, the more difficult it is to do Krishna. So meat, fish, eggs, blood, agitate the mind. And it's very difficult to think fish. Intoxication agitates the mind so much, there's no possibility of thinking of Krishna, isn't it? If you're intoxicated, how can you think of Krishna? You even forget who you are. Silly things. So also, meat fisheries go back much worse, but also bad enough. These are much milder stimulants, caffeine, tea, coffee. These are much milder, but they also impact the consciousness. So of course it depends how serious one is. But if one wants to be very serious, one should refrain from all of those things. But at least try to give up fish and eggs. We're not going to make a big thing about onions and garlic. Because it's a more subtle point. Obviously, the fish and eggs is a much more devastating reaction. Is that alright? So are you going to eat onion? And they're also very smelly. I went to one house in Cape Town, and they were cooking, it was European. They were putting onions in some back room, some of all the doors were closed, but still, my eyes were watering. Because I'm not used to them, and I had to leave. It was like the other side of my house, but I still couldn't. Any more questions? Any other questions?